Good evening. At this time, I will call tonight's special meeting of the Methuen School Committee to order. Today's date is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. We're meeting in the Media Center at Methuen High School. We will begin by taking a roll call.
Vice Chair Desaglia.
Present.
Jonathan Grassi, present. Keegan.
Present.
Kathy Royce.
Present.
Yep.
And Rosebud.
Here, we need a motion and a second to accept tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion from the Vice Chair, second from Member Keegan. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll now rise for the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have public participation next on the agenda. I don't think we have any public participation for the special meeting. So we will move on to the main item on tonight's agenda. This is a historic night in the city of Methuen. Per our city's charter, Section 4.6, filling of vacancies, the school committee tonight will elect Alejandro Baez as an acting school committee member to serve the balance of the unexpired term of the vacant seat created by the resignation of former school committee member Kristen Maxwell. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for a formal motion and a second to appoint member designate Baez to serve as a member of our committee. We'll take a vote, and then I'm going to make sure that we do this while the cameras are running. We're going to swear him in right here on the spot. So I need a motion and a second to formally appoint member designate Baez to the school committee.
Oh, wait, jump in again.
We have the motion from member Donovan. The second is from Vice Chair Desaglia. We'll take a roll call vote on the appointment.
Desaglia.
Yes.
Donovan Grassi, yes. Keegan.
Yes.
McCarthy Royce.
Yes.
Willett.
Yes.
Mayor Beauregard.
Yes. Congratulations. And now next, we have City Clerk Ann Druin with us tonight. I'm going to ask the city clerk to come up to the podium here. We're going to turn that mic on so it is green, and we're going to do the swearing in right now.
Okay, so you can repeat after me, okay? Raise your right hand, please. I state your name,
I, Alejandro Baez,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Methuen,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Methuen,
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially
and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a member of the school committee
as a member of the school committee
during my continuance therein,
during my continuance therein,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Very good.
Thank
All
you
set.
very much.
Thank you.
Everybody, if you'd like to say a few words, and then you can take a seat, and we'll have your first vote, which will be a motion to adjourn.
Good evening, members of the community, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I am humbled in my attempt to express the honor and privilege that will be serving our students, our families, and our city. For me, the privilege begins by watching the work that former school committee member Kristen Maxwell has realized over the past few years. Her commitment to transparency and accountability has cemented her legacy as a champion for Methuen Public Schools. The honor. Well, the honor begins by realizing what this moment represents. This here and this now. This here and this now come together to offer us an opportunity for stability, an opportunity to foster respect, and to refocus on the work ahead of us. With that said, stability, respect, and focus can only prosper under understanding. That is why tonight, in the infancy of my term, I would like to be clear and contribute to this shared understanding. I will not tolerate bullying or harassment against me or any other members of the school committee or my colleagues. I refuse to be a spectator, a mere bystander, or a passive observer. I will exercise my civic duty to answer the call as an advocate, an upstander, and a first responder against bullying. Because we don't just set the example, we are the example. And I will make sure that the words that I am cultivating here tonight will grow into a shared tradition between community leaders. We have a lot of issues to tackle, but we must not forget to answer the call of reaching and explaining the successes that we have received as well. I look forward to working with any interested party in the advancement of our public education, because I know that here at this table we have a shared vision, a vision for our district's success. Whether that be hiring a new superintendent that will help us lead this district towards success, strengthening our academic outcomes, or even finding creative ways to balance our budget, my line will always be open. Because while the honor and the privilege begin here, they don't end until we are able to provide results for our students, our families, and our beloved community. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Baez. And if you'd like to join us up here, we will proceed shortly with a motion to adjourn, and we'll be back at it at 6 o'clock.
Drinking warm water before bed improves eyesight almost overnight. Thousands of people are already doing this every night as they sleep by adding one unusual ingredient to a glass of warm water.
apologies. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available for viewing on the Methuen Public Schools website. Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Vice Chair DiZoglio.
Present.
Donovan Grassi, present. Member Baez.
Present.
Member Keegan.
Present.
Member McCarthy Soroyce.
Present.
Member Willett.
Yep.
And Member Beauregard.
Here. We need a motion and a second to accept the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion's from Member Soroyce, the second is from Member Keegan. Any discussion? There's no discussion. We'll vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We'll now rise for the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda tonight, we have public, oh, yes, excuse me, I am so sorry. I'm going to ask us to rise again, and we're going to pause for a moment of silence for James Staples. He is, or was a proud graduate of the Methuen High School class of 2011. He was the captain of the varsity basketball and football teams. James was a benevolent person, and the strength with which he navigated serious health challenges over several years was inspiring. James continuously gave back to our community as an MHS building-based educator and assistant MHS basketball coach and a volunteer at Man Inc. James was an excellent colleague, friend, and role model to many within our school community, and tonight we honor his memory. Thank you, and my apologies. First on the agenda, we have public participation. Has anyone signed up? No. All right. So is anybody here to speak for public participation? If not, I will close public participation. If you were not able to attend a meeting in person, you can send an email to Susan Shanti at snscionti@methuen.k12.ma.us before 3 p.m. on the day of a school committee meeting. Next on the agenda, we have the DECA State Career Development Conference. This is taking place from March 12th through March 14th of this year. We need a motion and a second to approve.
So moved. Second. So moved. Second.
And we do have a student here this evening, if you wish to hear more about the conference.
That'd be fantastic. So we have the motion from Member Soroyce, a second from Member Donovan, and we'll open up discussion. At this point, I'll invite the student to speak.
All right, so Methuen High School DECA will attend the Massachusetts DECA State Career Development Conference, also known as Mass DECA SEDC, from March 13th to 15th in Boston, Massachusetts. So this 3-day conference will take place in the Seaport District, and students will be staying at the Renaissance Boston Seaport Hotel. So the primary goal of this trip is to provide students with a high-level competitive and educational experience that strengthens their skills in finance, accounting, and entrepreneurship through real-world application and performance-based events. So events range from role-playing as an accountant to pitching companies that students have both built from the ground up. Think about it like Shark Tank, essentially. So at this conference, a total of 43 students and 5 staff members will be attending from MHS. So students participating in this conference have demonstrated strong commitment and competitive drive through their preparation and already prior qualifying performance at DECA Regionals, another similar event with the same based categories. So the event will give them the opportunity to compete against the top students in the state, receive professional feedback, and further develop analytical and presentation skills that translate directly to real-world environments. So in addition, the trip offers valuable networking and professional connection. Students will engage with other high-achieving peers and future leaders across finance, accounting, entrepreneurship disciplines, helping them build relationships and broaden their exposure to business pathways. I also want to note that top performers at SEDC will be able to move on and perform at nationals, also known as ICDC. And I also wanted to give a special thanks to the Methuen board for providing funding for this DECA States trip. So I'm in communication with a lot of other DECA chapters and DECA presidents around the area, most notably North Andover, and they are paying over $500 for this trip into Boston, which is only 3 nights. Us, on the other hand, we're only paying around $100, which is around 1/5 of the price. So I just wanted to express my gratitude for allowing these kids to be able to take this competition seriously and genuinely be able to pursue their passions in finance, accounting, or entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Royce?
I just wanted to ask, how many students will be attending?
I believe it will be 43 students.
Any other questions? If not, we'll take the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. You're all set?
Thank you. Have a good one.
Congratulations. Next on the agenda, we have a CPAC update. I don't think we have any at this time, but this is something that we'll have, I think, ongoing. LPAC, Dr. Golubsky, I'll invite you to introduce the LPAC members.
Sure. Our CPAC representative wasn't able to make it tonight, but looks forward to attending another workshop. I'd like to invite Maria Brancato up to speak on the LPAC. Maria is an ELE teacher at Methuen High School, also a parent in the district, and is currently serving as our liaison to try to attract as much attention to LPAC as possible. So Maria will give you a little summary of what LPAC is, our outreach so far, and she has some really good ideas moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Maria Brancato. Okay, I would like to give you a little bit of my background. I would like to share my personal journey as an immigrant parent who arrived to the United States with limited proficiency in English, like many others who seek for better opportunities. I faced the challenge of navigating a new country, a new culture, a new language. And but my perseverance and my dedication and support of others, I was able to overcome all the barriers. Upon my arrival, I made conscious decision to learn English, and knowing that it was essential to grow and success in this new environment. This process was not easy, but it was deeply rewarding and empowered me to better communicate and advocate for myself and engage more fully community around me. As I gained confidence in my language skills, I discovered my passion for education. My own experience as a language learner inspired me to pursue a career in teaching. I decided to focus on helping English learners, recognizing the importance of having educators who understand the struggles and the victories of learning a new language. I became teacher of English learners. In this role, I'm able to draw my own journey to better support my students and the families. My experience has, in addition of my professional role, I am also a parent of a student here. He's right now here with me. That is also dual perspective, allow me to understand the challenges that becomes family of an educator face ensuring a student's success. My experience has instilled in a strong commitment to fostering supportive, inclusive learning environment. I believe that every student, regardless of their background, deserves the opportunity to thrive academically and socially. As a teacher and a parent, I strive to be a bridge between the school community and diverse families that we serve. working together to ensure the success of all our students. Thank you for the opportunity to share my story. I look forward to continue to contribute to our school community, helping students achieve their fullest potential and supporting families in their educational journey. Now, a quick overview about LPAC. LPAC is English Learners Parent Advisory Council. Is a voice for families. Okay, it's a voice for family. The English Learner Parent Advisory Council is made up of parents and legal guardians of English learners. The vision is to improve communication and participation between the English learners' families and the school through inclusive community, equal opportunities, cultural pride, and family partnership. Our mission, the LPAC mission, is advocacy with communication, support, and empowerment. We hosted introductory meeting in February 11 this year. It was here at the Methuen High cafeteria. Although 20 individuals were confirmed to come, only 5 showed up. I was happy. They showed up. And from those 5 that showed up, 4 of them, they said, I want to serve as an officer. After I did a presentation, after I explained the importance of families involved for their own students, the child's success in the English learner. We're gonna host another meeting on March 25th. Again, it's gonna be here in the Methuen High School cafeteria. We kind of want, before the LPAC meeting was like, we choose one school. Right now, we focus only in one place so they don't get confused. So, and everybody, the entire district is invited to participate. For my next meeting, because, okay, we have 20 confirmation that they come, but they only 5 showed up, my idea is to make a video. I would like to make a video explaining about LPAC, the importance of the LPAC for families to participate, and also make phone calls. I think the one-on-one calling, hey, would you like to come to serve? Would you like to come? Is any questions? I think that's 100% support for me. So those are my 2 ideas for right now. Making the video, try to distribute it to all the parents, to the district, to make sure the next one, it will be more than 5 people. If you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. In order for us to keep on top of what's going on, is there a social media presence, or how can we keep up to date with you?
So LPAC, like CPAC, really should be parent-driven with the district supporting. So that is why it's so important that Maria was able to secure 4 parents to say they wanted to be officers. That was a struggle we've had in the past. We've had pretty good participation in terms of workshops that we offered, technology support, helping navigating, reading the report card, MCAS reports, but we really haven't established that core group of parents to turn it over to. So once we're able to do that, they would be the ones to create the social media, because it really shouldn't be governed by the school. But certainly with the video that Maria's planning to create, and also any other marketing information we can put forth through any channels that we have to help advertise.
Thank you.
Member Keegan?
What do you think the biggest barrier is for parents to come to your meetings, to be involved? Where do you see the resistance?
I believe, because talking to students, is work. A lot of parents work at night. And I'm not sure if it's a Saturday meeting will work. I think that's a good idea, a Saturday morning meeting, if it's a good idea. But a lot of parents mention, I work until 7, I work overnight. You're welcome.
And we did try a morning meeting last year, which was relatively successful, but where we had excellent attendance was every school last year had a student showcase of work for our English learner students, and I would say 99% of students had a family member come to see the work during the school day. It was an excellent celebration of progress, and actually we had some graduation ceremonies for students who became former English learners. So Maria and I were just banding about was maybe at that point is when we slide in the LPAC meeting following a student showcase where all the parents are already there and can build relationships among each other as well. Part of the richness of our district is we have 22 languages represented, which also sometimes creates a little bit of pre-planning work to make sure we have translators on site that can help communicate the messaging. So Maria is multilingual and has also been great about providing those supports as well.
Member Bias?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Maria, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. I was just wondering to see how LPAC has been collaborating with, let's say, coaches or after-school extracurricular people in charge of those areas, and generally how the collaboration has been between, let's say, teachers, admin, and LPAC.
So this is, we have our meeting, like I said, is an introductory meeting. In the past, I was not fully involved in the past with those, but I believe that it was involvement on coaching, after school curriculum, after clubs and curriculum. It was a lot of involvement. Right now, I'm trying to create that again, one more time.
I would say too that we've relied on teachers a lot in the past to communicate messages home and to try to elicit that participation, and the phone calls have been hugely important. The teachers that call home make the direct connection. We get a lot more participation. I honestly don't believe that we've gone the route of communicating with high school coaches or club advisors, which might be a great idea moving forward, especially as we're pursuing reasons why participation may not be what we want it to be in some of those areas. So that would be a good place to look as well.
Thank you.
Member Willett?
Just to spitball on this situation, further discussion tonight is going to be on the inaugural parent university. And I think it's a perfect segue if someone is bilingual to convey through a webinar information that's pertinent to services, to educational rights. So that's something I know that the acting superintendent will update us later on with the agenda, but I thought it just piqued my interest of the inaugural parent university, that we're gonna just try to do outreach, because like you said, the visual is more enticing than maybe just something that's sent in the home with a letter. That might be something to, encourage. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I think that'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next on the agenda, we have the need to have some nominations for vacant seats on 2 subcommittees. I'll begin with the redistricting subcommittee. Do we have anybody who would like to be nominated for the vacancy on that subcommittee?
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I was going to nominate Alejandro Baez.
You accept, Member Baez?
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's have a motion and a second to appoint Member Baez to the redistricting committee.
So moved.
Motions from Member Soroy, seconds from the Vice Chair. Any discussion? If not, we'll take a roll call vote.
Okay. DiZoglio?
Yay.
Grassi, yes. Baez?
Yes.
Keegan?
Yes.
Practice Royce?
Yes.
Willett?
Yes.
And Bogart.
Yes. Next, we have the Policy Subcommittee. Do we have any nominations for Policy Subcommittee?
Mr. Chairman,
Member Willett?
I'm going to nominate Member Baez to that.
Second.
Nominations from Member Willett, seconds from Member Soroyce. Member Baez, do you accept?
Yes.
Okay. We need a motion and a second to appoint Member Baez to the Policy Subcommittee.
So moved.
Motion from the Vice Chair, second from Member Keegan. Any discussion? If not, we'll take the roll call vote.
DiZoglio?
Yay.
Jonathan Grassi, yes. Baez?
Yes.
Keegan?
Yes.
Royce?
Yes.
And Willett?
Yes.
And Bogart.
Yes. All right, that'll do it for the subcommittee appointments. Next on the agenda, we have the Acting Superintendent Transition Plan. I'll pass it over to Dr. Golubsky.
Thank you. So I put this plan together to communicate priorities that I'll be looking at and focusing on moving forward in just the 4 months that bring us to June 30th. I think it's important to note that we already have a lot of mechanisms in process, a lot of projects that we've been working on. So I'm pulling together that focus to really look at these items. So the first being, and very importantly, building the student-centered budget. So I'll be focusing with the leadership team, the finance subcommittee, to prepare and present a level service budget to the school committee. The plan also is to look at each school and make sure that we have what we need in terms of positions and materials, and then also have a list of needs prioritized in rank order so that if funding were to become available, we'd be able to move down that list and check the boxes for what we know would lead to better student outcomes and achievement. And ultimately, hoping to make very clear the priorities of the district that are student-centered, how we're going to allocate our resources and sources of funding, and to bring those ideas to the school committee for feedback and adjust the budget accordingly. So it can get somewhat complex with the various funding sources we have from federal and state level, as well as grants. So I hope to articulate very clearly and simply where we fell in major line items last year, where we would fall this year, considering raises and increases in costs, and ultimately what the district needs. Secondly, I plan to continue working on the strategy for district improvement. This is the plan, it's a 3-year plan, began in 2024, set to expire in 2027. So we're at a critical point here where we're exactly midway through the plan. So at this point, we have acknowledged or begun work on the key actions. By the end of this year, June 30th, we will have initiated all 26 key actions. Some that are further in development will be continued. An important step here is to identify staff members who are largely responsible for maintaining the continued focus on this priority. I think that we've done well communicating the objectives throughout the district. I think it's something that the staff members can speak to, but in terms of leadership at the district and building level, who is responsible for driving those changes with specific timelines for when we would expect that to be done, while also promoting the accountability across the district. I will continue with the quarterly strategy plan updates as I had done. One thing that we haven't done in the past is share those quarterly updates directly with the staff and larger community, which is interesting. I've only shared them at school committee in case someone happened to tune in or see the packet online, and I think that for the sake of transparency, that might be interesting to share throughout the district, so we're all speaking the same language and working from the same understanding. And also, I'd like to lean into teachers and administrators using data to make decisions in responding to student needs. So we do very well collecting data. We do very well exerting effort to address student needs, but I think we need to marry the two a little bit more to make sure that we're effective in the choices that we're making. So I aim to set up some structures to make that a priority going into next year. Furthermore, there are several district operations and programs that have launched this year or that are underway, so I will make sure that those are maintained. Some of the routines that exist throughout the district are classroom walkthroughs, central office meetings that focus on management and operations, bi-weekly MTSS revisioning team meetings, which is part of our strategy for district improvement. And that revisioning team is very important. We're up to 31 members, I believe, and just added another subgroup, so that would put us close to 40. And that's driving a lot of the work and change that we expect to see in the district. So I'll make sure that is carried out. We have our monthly leadership meetings on management and operations, another monthly meeting on strategy plan progress. The safety committee, that's a new group for us. That's administrators and teachers coming together to identify issues regarding safety and then address them. That's been very productive so far. Quarterly evaluation committee meetings, professional development committee meetings, and also the district-wide leadership convenings. So these are all meetings and groups I've been a part of before and driven a lot of the work. But as a part of this action moving forward, I'll need to lean a little bit more on the leadership team and identify, as I said before, parties who would like the responsibility of executing some of the steps as I had previously done. Also, in terms of curriculum, the district's in a great spot in terms of the high-quality instructional materials, many of which we have just launched or in a critical phase of implementing. So CKLA you've heard of, that's the literacy program for lower school, investigating history at the upper school. Open SciEd, we're in a grant process to bring that to the district 5 through 8. We're hoping for that. And there are several other initiatives that I've mentioned throughout the year and in my quarterly reports to you. All of these are programs that are within the 3-year plan to expand or speak to it. And I'll make sure that we are executing those and continuing to grow them. And finally, I think it's very important to build trust in relationships with all stakeholders. So that's done through clear communication and transparency, and being an ear to listen while also making strong recommendations for improvement. So as Member Willett alluded to before, I'm interested in establishing the inaugural parent university. So this is an idea that's been around, I think I first heard of it maybe a decade ago, where the district or school would open and invite parents in to learn about the happenings of the district or any relevant materials or resources that are available to them. So whereas typically in years prior in other districts, it's been done on a weekend where parents would move throughout the building taking courses like they would on a campus. I'm concerned that just isolating one weekend and expecting everyone to be available on that one weekend in the spring would not avail ourselves to as many families as we would have wanted. That we're looking to do a hybrid parent university, whereas the marketing and the materials would showcase the many sessions that would be available. We have some asynchronous sessions, we have some virtual synchronous sessions, and also some in-person sessions. So topics identified so far and that are already in the works regard bullying prevention, post-secondary planning, technology support, digital safety, social emotional support and awareness. I like the idea Mr. Willett Member Willett just brought up regarding the resources that are available to parents and trying to gain some traction there. But that's something, just in my casual conversations with the leadership team thus far, that's something that people are excited about, having the opportunity to share ideas. In the past, in other districts, once it's gone underway and it's become customary to offer such courses or workshops, I've seen districts offer how to help your student with math homework, or how to navigate the literacy curriculum, or beyond reading at night before bedtime, which is hugely important, how else can I help accelerate my students' literacy? So those would be some topics that you can expect to see. So I'll keep you updated on all the events there, and we'll be sure to publicize that. And speaking of publicizing information, we are seeking to establish MPS social media channels and begin the website redesign, which is very exciting, I think, for everyone. Most importantly, because some of this work dovetails and will actually be less work for the principals and leaders that are sending weekly newsletters and duplicating efforts. There's a way for the channel and the website and the newsletters to sync and be cohesive, and a resource really for everyone. I've had the fortune of meeting with a number of families thus far who have reached out and wanted to come in and share concerns or praise or thoughts or suggestions on the district. All of those meetings have gone very well, and I've appreciated hearing various perspectives. So I would like to also go to them. So go to the buildings to hear staff, just to be aware and in the building. And if someone wants to stop by and chat, happy to do so. But a lot can be learned from casual conversation. Sometimes you get a different angle than you would just seeing someone teach or in a more professional setting. So I'm interested in engaging in conversation with staff, and the same for families. Again, trying to connect on that strategy of finding a really popular event and then booking myself adjacent to it. And we've been doing that with the parent university as well. And I hope to be very communicative with you, the committee, with our weekly newsletters, and being careful to know information requests, and then providing it in that format as well, and sooner if necessary. And then also planning the Health and Wellness Fair at Methuen High School, which is available to school and city employees, as we've done in the past. That will be on the May early release date, and that planning is underway. So I sent a survey to staff a few days ago to ask for requests or recommendations, and overwhelmingly the staff is very excited about that. And so I look forward to carrying that through as well. So not inclusive of all the actions that I'll be taking, but just so that you have a sense of what you can expect from me. And also, if you have any feedback, I'm happy to incorporate that as well.
This is a great plan, Acting Superintendent, and I'm completely on board with all the goals that you have. This is great. Any questions or comments? Member Royce?
Thank you for this, Dr. Golofsky. It's fantastic, I guess is the word I'm going to use. I just had a comment. Thank you so much for the weekly newsletter for school committee members. That's really worked out well for me, because it's telling me and showing me, without having to go through every school calendar, what's up and coming, and that's important to me. I want to attend as many events as I can. And my question is, do you have a timeline for the website redesign?
Yes, we have to put out a request for proposals because it is a multifaceted, relatively large project. And then that has been developed. It's in its final stages of approval. So once we onboard the company, we're going to get right to work on that. So we'll begin building the new website and then migrate over once it's functional.
Thank you.
Vice Chair?
Through you to the acting superintendent. So two things. The website, now that we've officially established your acting superintendent as of the last meeting, I do think the central office administration piece needs to be updated on the site to ensure that you are aligned by title. I do think the message to the community that you, the superintendent usually has, should come from you now, not someone else. But I'm also looking here at your short-term action plan. And, I mean, the first two alone are going to keep you bogged down. You know, the budget is going to start pretty much any day now, if you guys haven't already started really working on it. That's going to take you through July, pretty much, June, even if with city council approvals and things like that. I do think for your own sanity, because I had the same conversation almost 10 years ago, I do think you need to appoint an acting assistant superintendent for your own sanity and your own health. This is a lot for you to take on your own. Do I think you're capable of doing it? 100%, but you shouldn't have to take it on your own. Yes, you have 2 additional assistant superintendents that could pick up on some of that, but they also have their own jobs. And the building supervising principals have their own situations currently that they have to get through. So I do think if there is a possibility, that is something that I would like you to reflect on, is if this is something that you could delegate an acting assistant superintendent to. Same thing happened, and you were actually put in that position at that time. So I just want to be mindful. But those are the 2 things. The website to be updated to the current administration, and then reflection on your plan, and the opportunity for assistance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Willett?
I just want to convey for the record that you've been outstanding in your outreach to the members of the school committee.
Thank you.
I think it's been a smooth transition. I echo the vice chair. If it's possible for us to help you in some capacity, it's going to be a very tight budget. And you've been very patient with us, and I think I've been very patient with you. But if any time I've asked you for information, I've posed questions to you, you've been very forthcoming to us, even over the weekends. So for me, you are an asset to that office. I'm not going to make comparisons. I'm not going to do that because we have to move forward. But I just want to say I focused on you. If there's anything we can do from our perspective, if we need to have a special meeting in terms of continuity, restructuring within the confines of the budget thing we're going to encounter, I definitely will be entertaining that conversation. I know the prior superintendent, at my request, did an analysis of comparable communities in terms of administrative cost. I guarantee you again, we are below bar for administrative costs. So I'm going to reinforce for the record to the community that if you are penalizing or criticizing us because you believe in your heart of hearts that we are a top-heavy administration, the facts, and it's been verified by the Pioneer Institute and other information sources, we are below administrative costs. So if we can do that as part of the budget vehicle, I appreciate that. Again, I will be there for those meetings and the hearings as we did in the years past. I think it was very healthy. I would just encourage that the arbiter of the budget is the school committee. So I encourage people not to jump the gun or come to conclusions. We will be advocating with the legislative delegation again. There will be a discrepancy between what we are, as a community, what we need versus what's going to be available.
There might be some cutbacks, there might be some difficult decisions, and it might be something, again, collectively, we have to approach the city council on. I'm there for those conversations. But I think what you're doing, I appreciate.
Thank you.
Totally, thank you.
Member Byers?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, Acting Superintendent, for the presentation. It was quite detailed. As most people know, I have been publicly emphatic about the Office of the Superintendent evaluations. And I know this is a transition plan, and there's a lot of moving pieces here, but I would just like to know if there would be, in your transition plan, you have accounted for any self-evaluations or any reflections that could come back to the school committee where, you know, it's not just to be critical, but to also know how this process, how we could learn from this process in the future through any self-evaluations, and if anybody can enlighten me if the Superintendent Evaluation Committee would still be performing its evaluation. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byers. Any thoughts?
I think you bring up some good points. So there still is the Superintendent Evaluation Subcommittee in place, as are Dr. Kwong's goals from the fall. So I've still been mindful to carry those through because they were carefully crafted and important to the district, one of which was the bullying prevention, which came out of the audit and things of that nature. So I've been careful to pull those threads through. I think that is part of the discussion for the committee as well, as to how the evaluation would go in a relatively short span of time. Self-reflection and self-evaluation I'd be happy to provide you with. But while this is a short-term transition plan or action plan, I didn't use measurable goal language here for as if it would be a SMART goal or SMARTY goal to be evaluated on. So just to identify actions to focus on. So maybe that's an important discussion for the subcommittee to discuss that.
Thank you very much.
Good thought. Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Mayor, may I? I'm sorry.
Member Byers?
Yes. So I've been following the updates on the social media page, and I really love that idea. I'm seeing an opportunity, and please enlighten me on the potential for having student internships or student involvement through, a communications piece to have students, high school students, prepare for real-world experience through kind of a supervised way of being involved with the social media piece. Or if that's not feasible, obviously that isn't feasible, but just a thought.
Yes, we currently have some of our CTE students performing externships or internships rather, because they're here with us, building out some pages on the website for our grammar schools to highlight our play ball program. But certainly one of the recommendations that came to me for social media when we're beginning to enter that land as a district is to have one singular channel instead of multiple channels, and then to branch off once the community is familiar with where to get the information. But I think that might be a great idea for students to craft the posts and to take the photos and to write the captions and to understand from the marketing lens, which is one of our programs here, exactly what is important to convey and, more importantly, how.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Byers. I think that this whole conversation about social media in terms of information is helpful simply because of the fact that, most people nowadays get their information mostly from social media, and I think that, when you don't have, that one designated channel, you have a vacuum when it comes to information, and oftentimes that vacuum is filled by, in many cases, misinformation, et cetera. So I think that having that one clear designated channel to provide the public with information on, say, Facebook, Instagram, et cetera, is going to be very helpful to ensure that we're able to share what's going on, be transparent, but also, I think take the opportunity to celebrate the district's wins, and sharing the successes that our students are experiencing. And I think that will go a long way in terms of countering a lot of the negativity out there, when we focus on the progress that we're making as well. So that's a great idea. At this point, we're going to move on to a measure proposed by Member Donovan. Feel free, Member Donovan, to take the lead in terms of explaining, and we'll discuss.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? Let's have a motion and a second to approve, and that way procedurally we can go from there.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's from Member Keegan, the second is from Member Soy, so.
Wait a
we'll hear
minute,
from Member
Keegan,
Donovan.
sorry. I'm doing two jobs here. Okay. So roll call? Just discussion, sorry. So I do think it's time, given the events going on across the country, that we put together a procedure that would be available in our handbook that would allow parents to raise concerns about books that are in our media centers and in our classroom libraries, while we also are aware that it is our job to protect the intellectual freedom of our students. Basically, it's a way to have a purposeful, meaningful process and discussions among all the stakeholders to make sure that everyone's in the right place, that we have due process when there are conflicts. And that is to avoid discussions that can be distracting to learning and teaching and hurtful to our community. So I came up with this proposed, it's called Reconsideration of Classroom, Library, and Media Center Materials. And it is a procedure, not a policy. So this is the steps we would follow. Parents would be able to read what they would do if they had a concern, and there's a process with a resolution and a time frame. So basically, I looked at this 15 times and I just caught an error, so forgive me. I'm talking about procedure, not policy. The concern would first be directed to the teacher or librarian or whoever's in charge of the media center to explain the selection process, why a book landed, where it landed, and how it could land in the hands of a student. And if that discussion does not lead to a resolution, the individual, the parent, could file a formal complaint. I'm sorry, I want to call it a request. The parent, guardian, student, staff member who have the concerns would complete a request for reconsideration to the principal. People who have the concern only would be those, for instance, a third grade parent concerned about a book in the third grade classroom library. So people outside our community would not be allowed to file a challenge. That is happening across the country. People with no connection to the school community are filing complaints. And that is like strict, obviously, politically motivated. We don't need that. There would be a reconsideration committee, and they would, within 5 school days, begin the process. They would be convened. The reconsideration committee would include the principal, the district librarian, 2 teachers, a district administrator, a department chair, a parent or community member, and when appropriate, a student. The committee would then do its work, read the work in its entirety, and consider its value, whether or not it's appropriate at the age level, look at professional reviews, and see if it's aligned with the district selection criteria. This policy reflects the book challenge policies that are in place across the country at libraries and in any other schools. So I did a lot of research on this, just so you know. If necessary, and if it's appropriate, they could meet with the complainant And then within 12 days following the convening, the committee would issue a written recommendation. Then there is the opportunity for a decision and an appeal. Within 3 school days of receiving the recommendation, the superintendent will review it and issue a written decision to the complainant. And then if unsatisfied, the complainant can appeal to the school committee in writing within 14 days. Then it's the school committee's turn to read, to review the book, and issue a final district-wide decision. And then, of course, we keep these records. I can't express enough how important I think this is, so everyone knows the process. We listen. We need to make it clear that we want to listen to the parents' concerns. And we also have to balance that with our responsibility to make sure we offer a wide range of opportunities for students to learn. That's it.
Any questions, comments? Member Royce?
Just looking at the informal resolution, I'm just concerned that there wouldn't be an administrator in that meeting, because that's the beginning of the entire process, and I feel like parents, there's personal, religious, different reasons why they may be very upset about that book, and I'm wondering if an administrator should be in that meeting as well with the teacher and the librarian.
I think the first step is always with a teacher. Before you involve the administrator, you want to have, like, you don't want to take away that contact, I would be, there's room for the administrator, but I think you first have to have that conversation with the teacher without bringing administrator. And I speak from experience because I have been in several situations as a teacher where a parent has been upset or had concerns about a piece of literature. And we were able to resolve that in a conversation. And if we didn't resolve it, then we knew what the next step would be. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't disagree with you, Member Donovan, but I also don't disagree with Member Soroyce. Why have it as part of the resolution, though? Like, having the teacher, that should be automatically the first conversation. I agree. So when I look at a process, we've already passed that now. I went to the teacher, I had the conversation, but they're not going to probably remove it, the teacher or the educator. So in my mind, what you're trying to create is that formal process, but also the formal process of escalating it. Going to the teacher is always the first step. So now I'm thinking, all right, I went to the teacher, now here's my process. If I need to now go and prove a case that this book is inappropriate or this media is inappropriate, that's the formal complaint. I don't think going to the teacher is the initial formal complaint. If I should always go to the teacher for anything.
That's the informal resolution.
Informal. I get that, but should that be part of this procedure that I'm looking at? Because that should always be the case. So when I think of what's my procedure to go get my driver's license, it's going to the DMV to take the test, not borrow my parents' car to get to the test. All right? So, go ahead.
I do think the first step is always going to the teacher and just putting it, because you know what, sometimes people don't. And that makes it hard for a really good discussion to take place. So even if it's not resolved, you move on. If it is, and sometimes it's just a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to include it, but I totally understand what you're bringing to the table. Thank you.
Something that I'm gathering, Vice Chair, is that you used the word should, right?
Yeah.
That's how hypothetically it should take place. And so I think what Member Donovan is trying to do is to, really take that should and build that into the procedure. Granted, it's informal at the outset, but that's what I gather.
Yeah.
Then for section 4, committee review, I do think we should add meet with the educator in there as well. Because even though all my peers are in there now, if requested, the teacher should also be brought if the parent is coming as well. the committee will, and then consider the work in entirely rather than isolated expert, so they're reviewing it, and then it says, meet with complainant if requested. What about the teacher as a rebuttal to the complaint? Shouldn't the teacher also be able to say why, or the librarian provide their view as well to the committee? If I'm going to the teacher for the first, as a parent, now the committee's coming in, and now am I gonna just listen to the parent? But shouldn't I also listen to the teacher, is what I'm also getting at too.
I think at that point, the teacher has had the opportunity to try, the teacher obviously has that item in his or her classroom for whatever, or in the media center. I think it is time now to listen to the concerns of the parent with an independent, separate group of people. I mean, this is a decision that would be made by the body, but I think you're working your way up. There were efforts at one level with the teachers, with the teacher, and now we let an independent body take it over from there. And can I just point out, because it's driving me crazy, under purpose, the third sentence should read, this procedure, not this policy. Sorry about that. I get them mixed up.
I would just ask for a friendly amendment to the procedure then, to add meet with educator if requested under section.
Oh, if requested.
Yeah, if requested.
Oh, I would certainly accept that, if requested.
So what I would
see
recommend
it.
is that if there's the thought about making that amendment, I would also just suggest to recommend as part of that motion to just amend and change any mention of policy to procedure.
Right, I think that was the only
For Member
one.
Donovan's request. That
Thank
probably
you.
is the only.
I also move that friendly amendment on top of it. So the friendly amendment is a motion to change policy to procedure and to include meet with educator in parentheses if requested.
Is there a second for the motion to amend? All right, let's take a vote on the motion to amend. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
And Willett is recorded as a no.
And Mr. Baez.
We'll take a roll call on the amendment.
Okay, hold on. So. DiZoglio?
Yes.
Donovan, yes. Baez?
No.
Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Soroyce?
Yes.
Willett? And Mayor Beauregard.
Yes. Let's take now a motion to approve as amended.
So moved.
Was there any more statements?
Yep, no, we'll get back to it.
Okay.
We'll open the discussion, but just so we can have a clean motion with the amendment.
Okay.
Okay.
Second.
You second it?
Motion and second. Okay, further discussion?
I have one more amendment, and it's
Okay.
more of a,
Can we just make sure, if there's any others, just, I would recommend.
well, I want to talk through this one first, because at any point, a parent has the right to opt their student out of any assigned materials when it comes to this. So I want to be both sides here, that during this procedure, the student will not be penalized for the process that's being taken. No, it doesn't say that in the actual policy of the materials, so that's why I'm saying in this procedure, the student would not be penalized for the ongoing committee review and would not be, beholden of any of the curriculum, progress, any of the reports that might be. There might be a pop quiz or.
Can I
things like that.
remind you, this is for books that are in the media center or classroom library.
So not at any point, any of these books will be used as a curriculum piece for like book reports or anything like that. So like a classroom would have to read the same book. Are we talking about the same thing?
No, the class, if they were asked to read the same book, we wouldn't consider that
This would
classroom
not be-
library.
right.
That would be, I was trying to think of an example where that might be the case. We do have in our curriculum, sometimes there's a unit where there'll be maybe 5 titles, and then we have multiple copies of each, and students can draw from those and use those as evidence. But if that ever were a question, or we're in this circumstance, they could choose one of the 4 others. So I think this is a situation where there's a book in a wider collection, and the issue may be that someone may feel that they don't think it should be accessed by someone, not that it's part of the curriculum.
And an example of this, which really inspired me, is what's going on in Lexington, where a parent was offended or did not feel that it was appropriate that there was some LGBTQ-themed books in his child's kindergarten library. The parent, according to the published reports I've read, was also concerned that the process in place wasn't moving at an appropriate pace to address his concerns. So it's along those lines, like when you walk into your child's library and you see a bunch of books, that they can pick and read during quiet time.
Yeah.
Those things. Okay, so I just want to make sure there's a process in place for that. And as noted, so I don't see there would be any
Correlation. Okay.
or any, like, I don't want to say opportunity, any reason for a child to miss out on something, on a grade.
So, Mr. Chairman, the only thing I would add to that process is what the vice chair is indicating, and what the acting superintendent reinforced in an email to me, is that we do not have a formal notification process to parents of what the children can access in the libraries. So I'm concerned about the status of parental opt-outs in light of the Supreme Court decision. Now, I have to emphasize for the record, again, that I'm not in favor of any book bans or book challenges. I think the purpose of the Supreme Court decision, and I would recommend people to read it, was parental opt-outs. It wasn't to exclude or remove from the curriculum, from the libraries, from the school district, the actual books. It was to provide a mechanism for the parents, based on religious objections, a formal policy that they could opt out based on those religious objections, not the actual books themselves, which I'm not in favor of removing. We already have an existing policy in place, so I have very much concerns about this proposal. And I appreciate what Member Donovan is talking about. And I think if we just had a conversation with the aggrieved parents, they never advocated for either a book ban or a book challenge. It was in terms of the process for notification, in terms of advisory letters, disclaimers on the syllabi, and there was no notification to parents in terms of access even to electronic books. And I've mentioned it to the mayor in prior conversations and also in emails. We need a parent's bill of rights, and I'm concerned that this school district will open up to lawsuits. That Montgomery County in Maryland, and I recommend people to follow up on that, the total cost between a settlement and they had to pay legal expenses was $6 million. Not because you were removing the books or banning the books, it was because you were requiring these students to still participate in those classes that had those books. And that's contrary to the Supreme Court decision, and that's contrary to prior precedent on court cases. So I would encourage everyone to tread lightly on this. I'm not in favor of this. I respect the member for bringing it forward, but I think we need to focus on universal parental notifications and making sure that we're in compliance with the Supreme Court decision, because you're going to open yourself up to lawsuits and civil rights complaints. And I just want to emphasize that. Thank you.
Member Bias?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. My comments on this, and first and foremost, I would like to thank Member Donovan for the effort and the time she put in to create this. But my comments are generally based on already existing policy IFAB, used for reference only in my comments. Methuen Public Schools selection policy for media resources and materials, and I have copies if
We all have them.
you guys, okay, perfect. And I'm sure, Member Donovan, you looked through this policy in your creation of this one. So my comments are, so I understand, and thank you to the acting superintendent for clearing this up for me, that this existing policy that I'm referencing is specifically for just the media center and not in classroom teacher-provided books for the class. Is that correct?
Media center, which we call library, and also, I'm sure you've seen like shelving in classrooms where teachers have accumulated books or over the years, and there's a library of books for free reading time, but not necessarily curriculum
Right.
pieces, right?
Thank you. However, I would still like my my comments to be taken as part of a framework from this policy in regards to Member Donovan's proposal. So, for example, while in the purpose section of Member Donovan's proposal, it says materials remain in use during review. At the end, the original policy, and calling it original policy, I know that there's a difference in application, allows for individual opt-out while material is still offered. And you can reference that in section 5, which is reconsideration 5B.8. Later on in the informal resolution, and I know we had discussion on this, where it says the first sentence, concerns should be directed to the teacher or school librarian, and we've had extensive conversation on this. The original policy has all reports go to admin. Whether or not the teacher is the first person you go to, the teacher should be reporting to either the principal or an admin, and informal resolutions should be at least consulted with admin or principal. And these are just thoughts that I am comparing what we already have for something similar to this proposal. In the formal request for reconsideration, section 2, there's an issue for me on authority. So in the original policy, there's the principal given the authority to receive forms versus admin authority, which is given in this policy. And you can reference section 5-B, paragraph 1 on that. Again, I don't know the constitutionality of this issue, but restricting taxpayers, for example, let's not just say outside members of the community, but just taxpayers in general, from being able to challenge materials in class. Again, I don't know the constitutionality of it, but I'm thinking that to be truly inclusive community, we should thrive to be an inclusive community on that. On the reconsideration committee, I know there's a difference in the makeup, and I'm sure that that's purposeful since the libraries are more general, and in classrooms is you want to have a department chair for that. So that's very purposeful. So I can see that. Again, that's just a difference in the makeup of the reconsideration committee. However, I'm concerned about where the principal, certified district librarian, a district achievement, and department chair, supervisor, a parent, or a community member. I think that we should have something more narrow on how that community member or parent shall be named. Lastly, for the committee review, or actually decision and appeal, in the original policy, section 5-B, paragraph 3, and bullet points 2 and 3, this policy that is proposed by, or procedure, proposed by Member Donovan would give the office of the superintendent the final word on the decision, is how I read it. Now, the original policy, the review committee comes up with a decision, and it is just permeated through the office of the superintendent and the school committee with appeals pending if the complainant should want to file an appeal. So to me, the reason why I'm opposed to this policy is because I see a lot of kind of differences in the way that we have what we have already existing, granted for a different reason, but similar framework and similar philosophy in why it was created. So I like the narrowness. I like the how specific the procedure is actually and what is already existing. And if we would want to, for me, if we would want to consider something like this, it should be framed similar to that. And I agree with Member Willett on why don't we just have an indicator on the syllabus for materials that might be of a concern. So, thank you.
I'd like to ask a clarifying question of either of you. So you want parents to be able to opt out. So are you saying that every book in this library, every book in a classroom library, parents have to be notified? That's where I'm stuck,
I think.
because that's a lot of books.
Yeah, through the chair. I think we've had these prior conversations. So when we were talking about the Diary of a Part-Time Indian, there was not an advisory letter that was sent home to the parents on that.
But we're talking about a book that is in the media center, that a child, this is what we're talking about
Okay,
right
so-
now. And if I may, what inspired this, which I didn't go, we're going to talk about Constitution and all that stuff, the Massachusetts Right to Read Act, which I know we're all familiar with, is designed to protect students' access to books. And it affirms that trained educators and librarians should make decisions about school library materials. It wants school districts to establish formal review processes. And I'm concerned we have nothing in our handbook now that would walk parents through, because we want to hear what they have to say, definitely. We need something where parents can go to, open the book and say, I have a worry about this book that my child brought home from the library. I think we're talking about a couple of different things right now.
I really
I'm
don't think we
focusing.
are, because
Oh, I do.
in terms of genderqueer, you can access genderqueer electronically. There is no notification for the parents. So you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit. And I mentioned that at a prior meeting, okay? The Kite Runner had an advisory letter that was sent home. Clap When You Land was an advisory letter sent home.
And there was a reason for that, correct?
If we're going to interrupt each other, I'm not going to speak. I'm trying to answer your questions. You posed a question to us, okay? I'm not implicating the school system. What I'm trying to do, and again, I said my prior remarks, I think the acting superintendent has done a Herculean task of trying to work internally of issues that I brought up to the mayor in conversations about a parent's bill of rights and to the acting superintendent, and you're privy to those emails. So all of a sudden now we're talking about this big universe of books that we're going to ban all these books. That was never the situation. Even the Supreme Court decision is a fine-tuned process, and the instrument is Montgomery County in Maryland. Out of 150,000 students, you only had 56 inquiries and filing to have an exclusion of an opt-out out of 150,000 students. We're not talking about a huge universe of kids. But if you're going to be talking about genderqueer, and it goes into details about oral sex and strap-ons and tasting of someone's vagina, okay? I don't want to have someone complain to me that they were promoting a book in the library without notifying the students or the parents of the process. Again, I've read the book. I don't think it should be given to minor students, but in the very least, why don't we notify the parents in advance? What is this cryptic process that we have to worry about? If you do advisory letters and have disclaimers in the syllabi, and you have a notification process, and then analyze what Montgomery County, after a $6 million judgment, that they shored up their system, that should be the model. And again, even California said, you should work with the parents who have religious objections. But by the way, it doesn't negate academic freedom, and it doesn't prohibit books in those libraries. So that's a red herring. We're conflating a book ban with just simply adapting to the Supreme Court decision and talking about parents' Bill of Rights and parental notification. And part of that, I think internally, the superintendent is already doing that. I'm not going to criticize the teachers. I'm not going to criticize the superintendent. I'm telling you, there's loopholes that are going to open yourselves up to lawsuits and civil rights complaints. I guarantee you on that. So that's it. Thank you.
Ms. Royce has a...
Member Royce?
First of all, I have to not agree with including the community. I feel that the parents have a right to say what they want to say, and I don't think that any community member should be able to come in and, file a complaint with something that's in our classroom. Respectfully, committee member Bias. My other question, I'm not sure if this is probably for Dr. Golubsky. Where do the books that are in the classroom libraries come from? I know you have supplied the classrooms with books for their libraries, but is there any overseeing as to what's in the classrooms?
No, in the teacher's individual libraries. So sometimes when we're weeding our collections and we find the books to be still relevant and appropriate and of literary merit, but we may have duplicates, we'll offer them to teachers. I know teachers sometimes will frequent the Nevins book sale if they're new teacher trying to find books. Donations over the years, or sometimes there's curricular materials that are no longer whole class reads that will hold on to a couple of them. I love looking at the classroom libraries when I go through. There's, I'm always pulling out the Anna Green Gables and the old classics that you wouldn't see otherwise. So that's wholly teacher curated, and it's their choice what they offer their students. Many teachers have leveled readers based on the students in front of them and what's appropriate for everyone, high interest reads. We don't keep, as of now, an inventory of what those are like we would in the catalog in the libraries. In the middle school, and the grammar school and high school libraries now, we're between 8,000 and 10,000 items. And in this conversation, I was thinking of our recent weeding efforts of those grammar school libraries, which at one time, all of those books were deemed appropriate for reading. And as times changed, several of those items, as I think the volunteers would speak to when we were weeding them, were just wholly offensive in some ways to particular groups of people or individuals, whereas decades ago it might not have been the conversation. So I feel confident in our collections now that we have been through everything and it's on the shelves and is what's there. I think through my conversation with Member Willett, he had asked about access to, we have apps on the iPads at the high school, access to the Nevins Library, which is another extensive collection, and what's there. And as you were speaking, it made me think, is the happy medium and inclusion in the sign-off forms in the beginning of the year, and awareness of my students have access to all this technology, here's the internet policy, and also our collections and those at the Nevins, so that they're aware. I don't know if it would, I don't imagine many parents would be going through item by item, title by title, but just so they're aware that their students have access to things, that might be worthwhile.
And I just had one other question, well, really a comment. Is it possible for parents to opt out of library time? I can't imagine a parent wouldn't want their child to go to the library at the school and take out a book. I mean, that's just.
I haven't heard that.
But I'm just curious if it is an issue.
I mean, they could join their class and not take a book out. Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really rewarding to see the grammar school libraries open and to see students, we've had a couple students in tears because their favorite Dogman book wasn't there, and just to see the passion in reading is so great. We ordered more Dogman, but Yeah, there's always a way, I think, that we could work with the parent who had particular concern.
And when you were at the high school, how many requests did you have, or how many comments did you have about books that were taught in the curriculum that parents didn't know about, or parents were upset about, or parents opted out of? You don't have to give me an exact number, but
No, I
I mean,
can
was it
think.
a lot? Was it a few? Was it one every year?
Maybe one every year. Maybe, but it's minimal. And in terms of the books at the high school, they don't have a library time where they come and check out a book. They're, more geared, when they do visit the classroom, they're in reference, trying to get information for research papers. But some students really find a lot of peace in sanctuary in the media center, especially during lunch, and lose themselves in a book. And I know our media center specialist is always asking them for what they would like to read, and that's informing her choices too.
Thank you.
Thank you. To somewhat get us back on track, no, it's not you. I'm just saying in general. Calm.
Who is it?
Again, it's an SOP. It's a procedure. It's not a policy. SOPs get changed every day, every week, every month, annually reviewed. So I don't think this is a bad start. I think this is a great first step in the right direction, until we probably go through the process and then we realize we gotta edit it. One question I have, though, is in our libraries, I know, and I don't think the Nevins does, is there a parental advisory on books at all? Because I'm assuming the catalogs are now all online for the high schools and the elementaries. And I'm not talking about just, I'm just saying in general, are there advisories on any of the books that we would deem parent could opt out of, or something like that?
No, in some of the schools, there are sections of upper and lower.
Age appropriate.
Which sometimes gets tricky because sometimes some of our younger readers are very strong readers, but by maturity and content. And there's some markings on the graphic novels, just denoting that this is a graphic novel, but certainly not a parental advisory on text. In the grammar schools, we really wouldn't have, I think, that type of book.
That, yeah. So the reason why I ask is, everything is technology now. I can't even go on Netflix without seeing the parental advisory or age-specific things popping up. Movie theaters have been doing it, music videos have been doing it for years. Is it something we could explore, because multiple topics have been thrown out tonight, on age-specific advisories potentially in our books? And this might be something for the new director over at the library as a step forward to make both sides kind of feel a little bit at ease on age-appropriate content. Because I can guarantee you, between Member Willett and I, we won't probably agree on what age-appropriate is, depending on where it is. I have my opinion, he has his. But at least, like Harry Potter has an advisory on Netflix. It's an advisory. So could we do something like that, potentially explore it? It's not to be solved here tonight, but something to explore with the new director on potentially meeting in the middle for some of the parents. Because I do think this is a good idea. I think this is a procedure. We need to put something in place instead of hours of talking about it in a meeting. I think this is a good way to separate powers. But just as a takeaway tonight, maybe look into something, how we could make a bridge here to certain parents and that look at different age restrictions.
Yes, I think that could get a little muddy because you alluded to the subjectivity in inappropriateness. Like I go to Common Sense Media a lot and look at their ratings for age appropriateness and things of that nature. But then what we do with that information, I think, is another step of who is then policing, who is taking which book, and who's allowed to do what, and if we're letting students access media centers during lunch, did someone see them with that book? I'm wondering if the simpler solution is, because as you said it, we're pretty technologically advanced. We have the digital checkout stations. Could that go into like the Infinite Campus? I'm wondering. The tech department's probably not loving this suggestion, so that a parent could see the books their student has taken out, and then could
because
check up on that, and if they're unhappy with it.
That would be perfect to explore, because I think of when I go to the checkout counter at a grocery store and I have a bottle of wine, it does an age restriction the minute that the beep goes off. We're doing the same thing here. Why couldn't we potentially do that with the library book? And then, on the back end, Infinite Campus goes to show, hey, my kid would like to pre-read this or has subjected to take this out. Are you okay with it? Sends a notification immediately. That could be possible.
They're in there now for fee collection, I know that. So if your student hasn't returned this book in 5 years, FYI, here's the cost of it.
So
Whether we hunt it down or not is another thing.
That could be
But they could see it. They could see it there. I'm thinking too, at the Scholastic book fairs where you send your student with $20 and they come home with like a Dracula book and they're in kindergarten, not what you would have picked for them, but they chose it. So I think there's an element of choice that the students enjoy, especially at the grammar schools and teachers are certainly looking, and especially in the younger students, making sure that it's relevant and appropriate for them. But I think that might be the simpler solution, because then you can, rather than looking at a picture that's too big, you're looking at exactly at what your student has selected. So it could be as simple as, talking points home. We visited the library today. Please ask your student about the book they selected, because that's a good thing to do anyway, and to talk about the reading.
100% love the idea. I think that's something we should explore with IT, because here's the thing is, the cartoon version and the book version of Vampirina is not the live action Vampirina. I can tell you that. My 4-year-old has figured that out for me. All right? It's not the same. And so having the ability to see what our children are taking out, I think that is very much possible with Infinite Campus. We did that at Suffolk when we had Infinite Campus. Our catalog of books, when we ordered them online at the store, would be something that we would be able to do in Infinite Campus, and we could go back for the last 4 years, and if we wanted to resell it, we could, and someone could purchase it. So there are definitely things that we can do with the subscription that I think this would work in our favor. So, thank you.
I have Member Bias, and I have a couple of closing thoughts, if that's okay. Member Bias.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. So in response to a question that was asked, as I stated in my earlier comments at the beginning, my reasoning for basing my comments on the media center or libraries policy is because I simply like the framework and think that it could be used for in the classroom curriculum. Now, I do agree with Member DeZoglio and Member Donovan that we need a procedure. However, my whole thing is a lot of the issues could be avoided if, let's say, how feasible could be a policy to, when teachers are creating syllabi, to have a librarian specialist or a teacher even know which text could be of concern to parents, and maybe just put an asterisk to it and let parents know what that means. Is that something that's feasible?
Yes, I suggest that to Member Willett also, because that's something we do with summer reading. When we send home the options for the summer, we give the blurb, an overview of what the text is, little disclaimer. And we currently have at the high school in the English department procedures and expectations. There is a statement that talks about some mature content in some of the books as well. I know that on the open house nights, when families come in, several teachers will display the books, and there's a syllabus at the beginning that most teachers do have the option of choosing from a couple anchor texts or mentor texts in each unit. Sometimes once they get a feel for the class and what they're interested in, they'll make those choices as they go. So to date, some of them will list, these are among the titles from which we may choose. But it would be simple to create a blurb and talk about maybe some of the themes that are discussed. We're more interested in themes that may be that resonating with some students in different ways.
So what I'm hearing is that it's feasible. So I'm looking forward to working with you on that.
I have a couple of thoughts that I want to share. So again, as the Vice Chair indicated, as Member Donovan indicated, this is not establishing a policy that's set in stone. It, in essence, is clarifying a procedural framework. Excuse me. And I think it does a couple of things. It provides a mechanism for parental involvement. I think that's a very good thing. Excuse me. It takes politics out of this conversation. I think that's another good thing. And lastly, I view it as an effort to try to protect intellectual freedom. I think that's a good thing. So it provides for parental involvement, takes politics out, and the goal is to protect intellectual freedom. All good things. And so I'm in favor of it for that reason, for those reasons. At this point, I'm going to call for a vote, and we'll take a roll call vote on this. This is a first read. It'll come back for a second read at the next meeting.
Yes.
Sorry. Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Soroyce?
Yes.
Willett?
Nope.
Member Baez?
Nope.
And did I call you Mayor Beauregard?
No, but I'm a yes.
Yeah, I
and
thought
just,
so.
I
Yeah.
think the mic was off.
Yes.
We had yes from Member Donovan, the
Right.
Vice Chair as well.
Yeah.
So that's 5 yes, 2 no. So that passes first read. It'll be back for a
Okay.
second read at the next meeting. You have an update, I think, on MASC training?
Yes, MASC training. In the previous school committee, we agreed that we would continue our training with MASC. We do it every year. Our contact, Alicia Mallon, is available on February 9th for a 5 o'clock, if we could agree to an early meeting. Did I say February? March. If we could agree to a special meeting in advance of our regularly scheduled meeting. She is available. They're very busy with their superintendent searches. I know 5 o'clock's tough, but we'll get done what we said we'd get done. If we are all in agreement, I do have a SurveyMonkey form like we did last year, where there is a list of items that we pick from that as a body we'd like her to discuss. I could send the survey to you as I did last year, and the results go directly to MASC, not to me. And from there, our rep would put together a presentation based on our specific concerns and needs as a committee. So I'm looking for feedback on would the date be appropriate? And did you like that method that we used last time when Ms. Mallon took the information and gave us a custom-made, very own plan on areas that were a concern to us?
I'm on
Anybody?
board with that.
Anybody? We good with that?
I'm good with that, yes.
So tonight, before you go to bed, you're going to get that survey. Make sure you fill it out and send it to Ms. Mallon, and I'll confirm with her March 9th at 5 p.m. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other business from the committee?
Just a point of clarification, or point. Is Mr. Baez all set up with email and on the school committee chain?
Yes, he will be now that he's sworn in.
Thank you. Just want to make sure that he's part and his emails are active. The only other thing I have is I just need to reconfirm. It's Mr. Baez and Mrs. Donovan, right, on the redistricting committee? Or is it Mrs. Royce?
I don't believe it was myself.
So who was that third person? Do you know, Mayor?
We can confirm that.
Yes, I brought that because I knew that would come up. It's yourself, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Oh, it is the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I will call that meeting to order sometime in March. I just want to say thank you for the detailed documentation that you provided on the schools between the K through 1 and the breakdown. It was very much informative. If we want to have a bigger conversation on it after redistricting has the first conversation about it, that would be, we'll put something on the agenda. Thank you.
Member Royce?
I just want to mention the backpack program. We're accepting donations as always. You can drop them off at the library, the Nevins Library. You can drop them off at Branch Street. And you can also access on Amazon to order as well, and it'll go directly to the central building. Thank you.
Thank you. I briefly want to mention, is there anyone else who has other business? Member Willett?
We've had, during a joint meeting, I brought up about the second round of the survey based on the audit. Is there any traction on that? I would inquire about that. Either financing it or doing it through the city or having some type of independent body doing it.
Sure.
Actually, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
There'll be more information forthcoming, but the Methuen Literacy Partnership is hosting our first community event, March 24th, at the Timony. We're hoping to get more additional input from families. A lot of people have said they want to get involved. That would be the opportunity. We'll be setting up committees. Please look for stuff on social media with details. But we need, and I certainly hope our entire committee can come to that.
Thank you. Last thing, I spoke with our HR director today. We're scheduling the 2 other finalists for the superintendent search. That will be happening in March at our workshop/business meeting. We are going to want to have them both there at the same time, so we'll break it up, an hour, 15-minute break, hour. We didn't want to have it on 2 separate days so that the other option had a hand up on the other. So we wanted to make sure it was at the same time. Mr. Baez, we can update you on that at a later time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Are we going to film that? Will that be live?
yes.
So,
It has to be public.
okay, my question is, if Company A presents first, Company B can watch.
Company B will gladly be here 15 minutes after to present, so if any changing of their presentation happens in 15 minutes, good for them, but I don't think that's possible. I mean, unless the body thinks that this should be an executive session, which I do
No,
not
I'm
think.
not saying exactly, I wonder if we just film, I know with like interviews, a lot of communities now just film it and show it later. It's not presented live.
I mean, it doesn't stop them from sitting in the,
Oh, they're going to be present, both of them? I thought it would, okay,
we were planning on having this in person.
okay.
That was a request of the committee, if I recall, the last
Okay,
time.
okay,
We talked about travel, and that's on them, not on us.
okay.
Is there any other business from the
Thank you.
committee? Member Keegan?
I really liked the LPAC presentation tonight, and I'm looking forward to the CPAC. I'm wondering if possibly the PTOs could also give us a presentation at some point, just to hear what they're doing in the different schools.
I'll reach out.
Speaking of PTOs, I mentioned this to the acting superintendent last night, but I thought I would mention it here as well. The organizers of the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is coming up on March 21st, they are anxious about trying to incorporate some involvement from the schools. So if there are any groups from the Methuen schools that would like to be a part of that, feel free to reach out to Councilor John Drew, one of the main organizers, and I know he would be happy to set them up with details and such about participating in the parade. It'd be great to have some participation from our schools. With that, if there's no other business, I want to state publicly that I will be recusing myself from the rest of tonight's meeting. I see on the agenda, there's an executive session to talk about the IT litigation of which I am the defendant. So I will be recusing myself for the balance of tonight's meeting, and the vice chair will take over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take a motion to go into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A, subsection 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position of the public body, and the chair so declares. Essex Superior Court Civil Action Number 2577 Charlie Victor 00627. We will not reconvene into open session at the conclusion of the executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
The motion goes to Member Baez, second to Member Keegan. Roll call, please. Yes.
Whoops. Donovan Grassi, yes. Baez?
Yes.
Keegan?
Yes.
McCarthy Silveroyce?
Yes.
Willett?
Yes.
DiZoglio?
Yes.
And Beauregard has recused himself.
6 yes, 1 absent. We will go into executive session, and again, we will not reconvene at the conclusion. Have a good night.